So everybody wants to figure out what's going on with Trent Williams. We're going to have Jason Lockenfor on later in the show. He says Trent's never coming back to the Redskins. The Redskins are saying there's not really a fracture in the relationship. What is your read on this? You've been through this as a GM. What do you expect to happen?
Well, I to be honest with you, I haven't followed the thing in the sense of trying to figure it out. I'm there next Monday, so that's when I was going to focus in on it because I work on the whole league. If everything was good, he'd be there, okay? So everything's not good. Now, whether it's the money, whether it's the medical situation, whether he's on strike or whatever, I never expect a player to sit out a season. Sean Gilbert did, okay? So I was wrong on that one.
Right.
But they all tend to come in because the money's too big not to come in. And he'll miss camp, and you know, if he comes in, he'll start the opening game. So, again, I don't know the facts on the thing. So, I'll know more about it next week when I'm there.
For a guy like Trent, who's been around as long as he's been and as good as he's been, let's say they come up with some sort of agreement there in the last week of camp or whatever. We're already back in Ashburn, and he actually does start in week 1. How effective can a guy like that be, assuming he's keeping up on workouts on his own at that position?
You know, the conditioning level and the heat, depending upon the temperature of the game, that's the thing that could wear him down. He normally, it really varies. Some players can come in there and then get you through and be pretty decent and then keep building from there. Others, the conditioning level may be too much for them. So a lot of it could be the temperature of the game and the pace of the game, too.
What is your best guess? I know you're obviously going to really lock in on them next week, as you say. But what is your best guess? We did this last week, Charlie. We did like a percentage pie here of who's the most likely guy to start at quarterback in week 1 in terms of Keenum, McCoy, and Haskins. I've always just sort of felt that Jay doesn't want to start a rookie. So I put Haskins at a pretty low percentage. When you're looking at it from afar, what is your best guess?
Keenum going into camp.
Yeah.
Haskins had done a lot of positive things for him as far as being a young guy, grasping the offense for a young guy. Now, he's still got ways to go.
Right.
Because it's so different from college where they don't call plays. Mahomes couldn't call a play spring practice. He couldn't take a snap from center. Obviously, he figured it out by year 2.
Right.
So I think you got a tough opener with Philly. Haskins in spring practice was very inconsistent on his accuracy, so you're never sure where the ball was going. A lot of highlight plays, control the line of scrimmage, good for a rookie as far as getting people lined up. Showed poise that way, showed ability to slide in the pocket and do things on the run a little better than maybe they had perceived he would be in that area, so that was a positive. He would have to make a big jump in camp from the spring to start. Keenum will eventually, I think, play himself out of the job because of turnovers. But I think my feeling is Keenum would start the opener.
Does he play himself out of a job and give it to Colt or to Haskins? That's the question.
I think that would be a question of where they thought Haskins was. I think they fully expect Haskins to play this year. But I think they'd have to see where he is. I mean, his inconsistency on accuracy is troubling at this point. Throwing off spring practice.
Yeah.
You have to feel more comfortable about that, and you'd have to figure out what part of the offense could he run, and could you water it down to where he is at that point in time. Again, Patrick Mahomes could not play as a rookie. He played one game late in the year. Okay, so you have to understand that's what you're kind of dealing with is these guys coming in where they don't take a snap from center very often, if ever, and they don't call a play. It's just signaled in. So that's a big jump for him in this situation. I want to hit on one other point here while I think of it.
Yeah.
It has been predetermined that this is Gruden's make or break year.
Right.
Okay, by everyone in the press.
Right.
Okay, and I've seen how that happens. People just make it up. They don't know that. The only guy who knows that's Dan Snyder.
Right.
Okay, really.
Right.
So, but you can't have a make or break year when you're going to play Dwayne Haskins midway through the season.
Right.
That's the thing that's going to be unfair in this situation.
Well, just to add
now,
some
whether
validity,
Gruden deserves to be back, that's another story.
Just to add some validity to the situation, though, remember Gruden kind of joked about it being if he lost too many games, he wouldn't be back.
Yeah, and that wasn't real smart on his part. Never fire yourself in a press conference, okay?
Right. Do you think Jay? Does Jay realize?
He was kind of joking, though.
He was,
and he admitted that.
But I think what you're alluding to is, and what most people, if you really think about it, if you play a rookie and say you win 6 or 7 games, that's a lot different than playing a veteran and winning 6 or 7 games.
No question, because you're building for the future, and the guy's done a heck of a job.
Right. So it buys you time.
It can buy you time if ownership sees it that way. Sometimes ownership, when Jeff Fisher put Jeff Goff in, he didn't win a game with him.
Right.
Okay, but he put him in for the future, and then the momentum was such he got fired.
Right.
Now, obviously, they made a great decision in Sean McVay to turn the franchise around with some good personnel moves, too. So,
what about when Doug comes out publicly and says, ultimately, it's going to be a decision that they all make collectively? Dan, Bruce, Doug, Jay, everybody makes the decision who's going to start. How do you read into that?
I think he's telling the truth, number one. That tells you
How
that...
common is that?
Not.
Yeah.
I would say.
Not common. Right.
Let me say this. In my 16 years as a general manager with 2 teams, we didn't have a joint decision on who was the starting players.
Ever. Right.
Okay. Now, we would have a discussion, but the head coach made the decision.
Right. Even if you were kicking and screaming.
Correct.
Right. And that may have happened in years past.
Oh, there's no question about that. You got dragged out once, but that's only natural.
Right.
I mean, look at your radio show. Do you guys sit there and agree on every point?
No.
Hell no. If you did, you wouldn't be on the radio anymore.
Right.
Right? So that's just normal. People have difference of opinions. But you handle it in the room.
Right. Joined by Charley, Redskins and Texans GM, now an analyst for NFL Network and NBC Sports Washington. What would you say is the strongest unit on this Redskins team and the weakest unit?
Well, the defensive line, as the starters go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the depth is really crucial here because those guys ran out of gas. They played too much. So, they've got to get some help from the depth in that situation. And that's why, Brantley and Settle are really crucial there. But if that's the strongest, I'd have, inside linebacker would be the obvious answer there, okay? Because of the loss of Reuben Foster. Mason Foster, that didn't surprise me. I had a sense that was coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they're really young there and inexperienced. Bostic's a veteran who's a smart guy, can call the defense, probably be okay against the run, limited against the pass.
Right. How would you handle the running back situation, that workload there? Because there's been some that suggested, you know what, this team's only going to probably win 6 games or so. Why waste Geis? Burn him up this year. Split the carries. AP's dying to carry the load anyway, and just slowly work Geis in. How would you handle it?
I don't think you can bench Adrian Peterson to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, based off last year, start, because that's all we can do because they just started practice.
Right.
Okay, and Gase has got to prove he can line up and be healthy every day. You have that part. So to me, I'd split the carries between Peterson and Geis, and that's kind of a feel maybe on each game, maybe during the game, and eventually the cream will rise to the top. So really, Gase to me has to beat him out, but he should beat him out. And he's more versatile because he can play third down, it appears, with the way he caught the ball last year in spring practice. And keep Thompson in his limited role, so you can hopefully get 16 games out of him. But that's the way I would do it. It's not an easy situation to manage, but you have to be strong with it, and AP is not going to go down easy.